Yeah, this one's going to be painful. The week I gave birth, my husband cheated on me. He confessed, begged for forgiveness, begged me not to leave him. We went to Christian couples counseling, and I spent the next year or two working on healing and trying to forgive. And the next couple of years after that, I was told I was paranoid, that I had trust issues, and that I was imagining things. And here's one thing I now realize. I wasn't imagining anything. I was being gaslit. And today I want to tell you what that looks like, what it did to me, and ways that helped me stay sane. So what happened was that I was on bed rest for a week or two after having the baby. And a few days later, he decided to say he had something to tell me, and he felt really bad about it. And he started crying and confessed it. And I remember being numb because this brought up trauma from my childhood that I did not want repeated in my life. And after a while, I said we would work on going to counseling. I believed in the Christian idea of forgiveness. What I didn't realize that one of the most frequent times women get cheated on is when they're pregnant or have delivered their child, because attention shifts away. And sometimes it's hard for guys to get on board with that. What I did not realize at the time was that while that affair had ended, the behavior that created this affair had not. So what I experienced is not just heartbreak. It's not a rough patch. And it's not the marriage hit a hard season. What I experienced is betrayal trauma, and it produces symptoms that overlap significantly with complex PTSD. There are some studies that actually say it's a type of PTSD. Jennifer Freyd, who developed betrayal trauma theory, describes it as what happens when a fundamental trust, one that you depended on for safety and survival, is violated by the very person who held that trust. So your nervous system doesn't just process it as a relationship problem, it processes it as a threat to your very existence. I started getting hypervigilant every single text, every single late night. Anytime he was late, I found it very difficult to sleep. It's not just you being crazy, it's like your nervous system warning you after a fundamental safety breach. So I spent the next 6-7 years in a special kind of hell. It's called post-affair gaslighting. There were nights I couldn't account for, absences, things that didn't make sense, a manner about him that registered as wrong even though I could not get evidence. And even when I brought it up, I gave so many examples of why I had issues. The response was consistent. There was this kind of gaslighting where it was, this is all in your head. I'm imagining things, I'm paranoid, I always think he's my dad, I have trust issues, I had forgiven him, why can't I let it go? I mean, I really tried. I tried to take him at his word, but it just seemed too frequent, too weird. Something was off. A few years in, he started locking his phone. Another few years in, the clothes started changing. I will say this to you, as I said to the people in my divorce care. If you are feeling confused and you go to your partner for an explanation and you leave that conversation being more confused, that is a sign that something is wrong. Understand that the confusion is the intended outcome. Confusion is the product of a gaslighting campaign. A person telling you the truth does not need you to doubt your own perceptions. I had years of gaslighting, so I had this interesting brain fog, which I'm sure is a combination of PTSD. I am also neurospicy, and I just felt like I could not trust myself and I could not make decisions or think clearly. So I started giving those decision making to other people. Fortunately, I had good people in my life. I was considering getting a divorce, and I had this proof in front of me that Years of gaslighting had tried to convince me it wasn't happening. There was a plane ticket that he accidentally forwarded to me, which had his plane ticket and another woman's plane ticket on it. And he was intentionally vague about it. I called upon a male friend. I call him a brother from another mother, 6 years older than me. He was kind of like a protective force for me when I was in college. He's since married. And I called him up and I said, hey, this is what's going on. This is what I'm suspecting. Tell me honestly what I should do. And he said, love, I'm not going to tell you to stay or go, but I will tell you something that happened. A month ago, there was a late night and I had to stay and continue working. Now, there was a group of us. There were 5 of us in the office, but 2 of them were women. And so when it was like 4 a.m., everybody was like, okay, we might as well go home. And I'm walking these ladies to their car and drive off. And I forgot to tell my wife, I did not tell her that I was staying with a group. The next day, one of his coworkers talked to his wife and said, yeah, he was with Molly. And the wife's like, I thought you were in the office alone. And he said that he remembered trying to go out of his way to explain, clarify, give proof, because he said, my home is so important. I want to make sure that there are no doubts in her mind. So I explained who I was with, and I really did forget. So he told the uncomfortable truth. I was with these 2 women. I was also with these 2 other guys. I was walking them to their car, and that is the effort I would put in explaining and helping my wife feel comfortable. And he said, in this situation, you showed a plane ticket, and he was intentionally vague about who he was traveling with. That does not sound like somebody who wants to put your mind at ease, which was the confirmation I couldn't explain away. Of course, when I confronted him with this, neither could he. He was intentionally vague about it. That really stung, but under that was a whole lot of anger. And after that passed, it was relief that I wasn't crazy, that my body was right. And it had actually been protecting me this whole time by shutting me down to him. Shirley Glass, in Not Just Friends, writes about the damage done by long-term post-affair deception. It compounds the original betrayal and creates a secondary wound around the victim's reality itself. So it's not that he just cheated. It's that he cheated and then he spent effort and time making sure that I doubted my sense of reality. And that is cruelty to know that you are lying and willingly refuse me the choice to make educated decisions for myself and my children. It's crazy making. You're not paranoid. You're not dramatic. You're not too sensitive. Like your body has been telling you something is wrong. It's been telling you the truth. The work is not to do what I did and white knuckle things and override your instincts. The work is to learn to trust them again after someone has spent years teaching you not to. So I want to give you a framework for thinking about recovery. A lot of the questions I had was, should I stay or should I go? It's hard to make a good and clear decision from inside a trauma response, so you need to stabilize. There are 3 phases that I see reflected in a lot of recovery literature. So the first one is like the discovery and stabilization. So this is immediate. Your nervous system is in panic, and the only goal here is to stabilize. Find a safe person to talk to, a good friend, somebody that will not push you immediately back in. And don't make any permanent decisions in this phase. Don't sign anything. Don't make any agreements. Your key is just to cry and get stabilized long enough so that you can get some clarity. One word of warning is that in the Christian spaces, what I found is that we are so community-minded that we will push people who have been hurt and betrayed back into abusive relationships because it feels that the preservation of the marriage is more important than the preservation of the individual within it. We don't have to choose between each. We want healthy marriages and we want healthy individuals inside of those marriages. If the people are very unhealthy, you can't have a healthy relationship. It just doesn't work. So I feel that there is a lot of unintentional enabling of abuse in churches because we are based on forgiveness, we are based on mercy, and we are based on preserving relationships. The second warning is about what is called Christian counsel. Please make sure that the person has a license. If you are getting a therapist, try to get one with an actual license. It's great if they are both Christian and have a license, because then they can talk to you from both angles. But many times, even the Christian therapists have the same view of pushing you into the relationship and pushing you to forgive prematurely. And that, I feel, was something that I wished was different in my marital therapy. There was just this strong push to don't belabor this situation. Don't ask for too many details because it'll discourage him. And try to re-engage intimacy if you can. And try to do a wedding vow thing, I think within 8 months. Phase 2 is getting clear. This is where you start getting information, not just about what happened, but about what you want, what you need, and whether those things are available to you in this relationship. What really helped me was that I consistently kept a diary. Even if it was writing once every 2 months, I wrote pages in detail. So when a year later somebody says, oh, I never said that, I never did that, I actually had a record. The last thing is identity rebuilding. Whether you stay or you go, your identity has been shaken. You believed something about your marriage, about your spouse, about your perception of reality, and it turned out to not be true. So you need to rebuild. Like, who am I outside of this marriage? And what do I know about myself? And what do I actually want? So this one's the tricky one because it many times involves yourself exerting your own pressure in the relationship. And you may have had to feel small when you were in the relationship to keep the relationship. And now you have to become a full person again. I would say, just like part 1, lots of help with safe people, discovering new hobbies if you can, having more identities outside of being a wife. I will go in deeper on the financial strategy in another video because I know that for so many people, women in particular, the financial piece is what feels impossible, but it's not. It's plannable, and it should be planned. If this has helped you, please subscribe and please leave a comment. I read them a little bit delayed. They remind me why this channel exists. Until next time, thanks so much. Take care. Be safe.